Hey everyone, I'm John. Welcome to episode 3 of Cocktails in Cloud. Today we're going to be sharing 3 best practices for AWS Security Groups while sipping on a Blue Milk of Tatooine. There's a disturbance in the force. So those 3 best practices we'll dig into more depth are utilizing least network access possible, not relying on the default security group, and then regularly auditing those security groups. Before we get into it too far, we're going to go ahead and make a drink. So this is the Blue Milk of Tatooine. We're going to start with 3/4 ounce of pineapple juice, 3/4 ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice. Freshly squeezed, extremely important. Coconut cream, a full ounce of coconut cream. Oh, this is going to be delicious. Make sure you get all that in there. And then to sweeten things up, we're going to be using 3/4 ounce of orgeat, which is basically an almond syrup. This is where the drink's going to get its sweetness. All right. And to that, we're going to go ahead and add 2 ounces of gin. This is a gin-based cocktail. Okay. And then last, and in my opinion least, 1/2 ounce of blue curaçao. This is going to add some sweetness to the drink as well. Definitely not my favorite liqueur. Haven't bought this in about 10 years, but it's essential to this particular recipe. Can't have a blue milk without something blue. So in our mixing glass, we're going to go ahead and shake that vigorously. We really want that to chill, get nice and cold. All right, nice and frosty. Let's crack this open. That looks good. Let me grab my glass. Okay, so today we're going to be straining this into a chilled glass. Alternatively, on a nice hot summer day, I would recommend tossing this in the blender and serving it frozen. Oh, but this looks exactly like you would expect it to come out in one of those high-end cocktail bars they're talking about always having in Tatooine. Okay. Cheers. Sometimes I amaze even myself. Okay. So the first time I had a blue milk was at Hollywood Studios in Disney. And we ordered the drink and the bartender says, with or without? And we're like, with or without what? Well, it became pretty clear what he was talking about shortly thereafter. And I remember really enjoying that drink in the midst of all the chaos. And so we thought this was a good one to showcase, given that May 4th is coming up and that is National Star Wars Day. So this drink is fairly refreshing. We use gin here to bring some distinctness to the cocktail. Some lime juice, some pineapple juice to bring some citrus, but we cut through that with a lot of the orgeat, almond syrup. And so yeah, just a really good cocktail, especially on a warm summer day when you're looking for something refreshing. So 3 tips for handling AWS Security Group. Number 1, don't rely on the default security group. When you create a VPC in AWS, by default, it's going to have a default security group assigned to it. We don't want to use that. So what that means is don't create rules for that security group unless, of course, you're talking about deny rules. We want to make sure we're not using that security group. So that means when you're deploying new resources, make sure you're never deploying them into that security group. That should be empty with no rules in it at all. Tip number 2, least privileged network access. When we're deploying resources into a security group, we're going to need to grant access to particular resources from particular endpoints. So one of the first things to keep in mind is we want to prefer using explicit ports instead of port ranges. Port ranges give too much access that we generally don't need. Similarly, we want to ensure we're being explicit about the IP addresses. We don't want to support utilizing IP range or CIDR notation. Be as explicit as possible when listing out which IP addresses should have access to which resources. And one more thing to add there, don't forget your outbound access rules. We see this with a lot of clients who generally don't set outbound access rules. So by default, that means that you're granting outbound access to anything. This is super beneficial to an attacker who's looking to exfiltrate data. So when possible, deny everything, but if not, work with your security team to understand what outbound access is necessary for those security groups. This is the most refreshing cocktail I've had at 9 a.m. this week. So bullet point number 3 here, regularly audit those security groups. As we know, needs of organizations will change. We see a lot of clients that continue having outdated security groups and security group rules in place. They're just not cleaning them up. So audit them regularly. You can use tools such as Prowler or Scout Suite to do this. And things we're looking for are security groups that are not used. If something's not used, get rid of it altogether. We're also looking for those security groups that expose access to a range of ports. And similarly, exposing access to a range of IP addresses or a full CIDR for IP addresses. These are things that we want to flag and fix when time permits. And sometimes it requires a little bit of research. Okay. And additionally, make sure security groups have descriptions. It's super important to understand the purpose of a security group, understand who owns that security group, what it's for. And last but not least, when you're auditing these security groups, visualize them. Use a tool to visualize a connectivity between those security groups. Look for security group to security group connectivity, understand what ports are available to which security groups. Much easier to analyze them when you're doing it in a visual manner. So in conclusion, 3 best practices for AWS security groups: not relying on the default security group, number 1. Number 2, utilizing the least amount of network access possible. And number 3, regularly auditing those security groups and ensuring that they are compliant. Cheers. So if you like content like this and you want more, use the force and subscribe. Thank you. And that's it for today, folks. I want to take this particular drink is a good choice. If anyone's ever been to Disneyland, they've This is the most refreshing cocktail I've had at 9 a.m. this week.